Over the Dragon Age, Thedas has been bombarded with one world-ending threat after another. It's hard to believe that all that stood between the world and complete destruction is a single mortal person, our protagonist. Think about it, we faced old gods, wannabe gods, would-be gods, and each time we somehow prevail. What if the reason we keep winning game after game is because we are gods?
We're gods!
Did you say we're
That would
gods? Why would you even tempt that shit right now?
Hello crows and non-crows alike, my name is Joe Mack, otherwise known as Support Crow, and today we're discussing the possibility of us being the Maker? Okay, let's take a step back. Here's the actual theory. What if we've been playing the Maker the whole time? Now I know that sounds a little crazy, so give me a moment to explain. Let's say the Maker isn't some all-knowing, all-powerful entity like the Chantry claims. Instead, the Maker is a spirit that hops onto our protagonist to give us a little extra push. How would that be the case? How would the Maker, or any spirit, be with us the whole time without the main character knowing about it? Well, we have some examples. In every Dragon Age game, we eventually gained a companion that is up to some kind of spiritual shenanigans. The first of which being Wynne, who died during a demon's assault in Ferelden's Circle Tower. She was brought back to life by being possessed by a spirit of faith. This spirit of faith keeps Wynne alive for another 9 years, until she transfers the spirit to a Templar in Dragon Age Asunder. In Dragon Age Awakening, we come across a spirit of justice who gets trapped in the body of a former Grey Warden. In Dragon Age 2, that same spirit of justice partners up with a mage named Anders and is transformed into a spirit of vengeance. In Dragon Age Inquisition, we come across a boy by the name of Cole who is not quite spirit, not quite human. It turns out that Cole is a spirit of compassion that tries to help a mage named Cole, but ends up getting trapped within Cole's body post-mortem. And last but not least, we have Lucanus, a non-mage that partners up with a demon of spite, at first against his will, but eventually they settle their differences and work things out. In Veilguard, we talk a lot about spirits and what they can manifest as. Actually, throughout all the games, there seems to be a big enough emphasis on the theoretical question of what a spirit can and cannot be.
The Chantry says the demons hate the natural world and seek to bring their chaos and destruction to the living. But such simplistic labels misconstrue their motivations, and in so doing, do all a great disservice. Spirits wish to join the living, and a demon is that wish gone wrong.
So here's a theoretical question for you. If spirits come in all shapes and sizes and power levels, how are we so certain that we are not already possessed by one? Could we be possessed by a spirit and not know it? Well, we know that both Wynne and Cole didn't entirely know their true nature until they went through some character development, so maybe? And I also want to point out something we may have in common with Wynne and Cole. The Fifth Blight, the Breach, and the last of the Evaneris are all conflicts that threaten the destruction of the world as we know it. In response, the Warden, the Inquisitor, and Rook stand in their way. But I noticed something similar between all three of them. In Origins, the Warden is shot with arrows and falls, waking up in Flimmer's hat later. In Inquisition, the Inquisitor gets blasted a couple times and wakes up not long after. In Veilguard, Rook gets blasted and wakes up in the lighthouse. Ponder this for a moment. What if we didn't just fall unconscious? What if during these moments, we legit died and were resurrected by the Maker via possession, or whatever spirit the Maker is?
See, here is your fellow Grey Warden. You worry too much, young man.
You're alive. I thought you were dead for sure.
Our leaders struggle because of what we survivors witnessed. We saw our defender stand and fall, and now we have seen her return. The more the enemy is beyond us, the more miraculous your actions appear, and the more our trials seem ordained.
Why? Why tear down the veil? You need to listen. No!
You have no idea what you have done. This is your responsibility now.
Well, look who's still with us.
Varric?
This is where things get kind of hazy because I'm using the tin hat more than any evidence. This is really just a hypothetical question that I'm bringing to YouTube right now. Just something fun to talk about. But bear with me, because even if we're not the Maker or even possessed by a spirit, I feel like there's something important here. For the time being, let's assume we are being possessed by the Maker and not entirely aware of it. What kind of spirit would the Maker be? How would such a spirit help us without giving themselves away? And how could a spirit possess multiple protagonists at the same time? As for what kind of spirit the Maker would be, I think I have an answer, and it goes back all the way to Dragon Age Origins. Do you remember the dream Liliana had back then? The vision that compelled her to join the hero of Ferelden to stop the Blight?
But I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell. And the darkness drew me in.
Liliana continues to say that when she woke up, she went to the Chantry Garden and found a rose blooming in the middle of a bramble bush.
When I woke, I went to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rose bush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith.
Hope. When everything is consumed by darkness, what is the light at the end of the tunnel? Hope. When everyone has given up, what is something that can lift their spirits? Hope. When the world knocks you down, what helps you get back up against all odds? Hope. If the Maker is a spirit, then I believe the spirit is one of hope, pushing us forward where all others fall short and getting us across the finish line, giving us an impromptu plan just when we need it, subtly pushing us in the right direction when we're lost, and letting us know what we can say when everyone else doesn't know what to do. But most of our main characters are alive at the same time as other main characters during these games. So how can that be? Well, I don't have a concrete answer here. Time in the Fate is weird and wonky, so perhaps there can be duplicates of a spirit running around because of weird Fate stuff.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Or perhaps a spirit of hope is like the caretaker, and it can just be anywhere at any time. Or the Maker is like Mythal in a sense, and there are fragments of hope possessing each of our main characters. And I do want to point out the other two main characters in the room. You know, you got Hawk from Dragon Age 2, and then you have the Commander of the Grey from Dragon Age Awakening, assuming your hero Ferelden dies in Origins. The reason why I'm not really including them into the group is because, one, they do not have a moment where they potentially die, and two, they're not facing a conflict that can destroy the whole world. So this theory doesn't really work for them on those 2 points. But maybe that's the distinction. Perhaps the Maker only slips in when the world is legit, potentially going to end. I'm not sure how all this fits together, but there is one thing I am sure of. We are the rose in the middle of the bramble, pulling this world back from the edge of destruction. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being poetic. Maybe I'm a lunatic. But maybe, just maybe, at the risk of sounding a tad bit evangelical, perhaps the Maker has been with us all along, after all. I hope you had a good time falling down into the deep roads with this theory crafting as much as I have. I'm not sure when the next Dragon Age theory vid will be, but it may be a while. Don't fret though, we have Exodus, we have Avowed, and maybe Mass Effect to pass the time. And who knows, I might come up with some other crazy theory along the way. Or maybe stumble across a theory that maybe you lot have, and it could trigger something. Who knows, let me know. Until then though, be safe, be well, be kind. Bye-bye.
Look to the sky, one day soon, dawn will come. There your reign and raise it high. Stand your ground, the dawn will come.
Faith may have yet to find you, but it has already found them.